This is the Lean Builders Hoots on the Ground podcast with absolutely, positively no bullshido. Join us as we dig into exactly what lean construction is and how we can use these concepts and strategies in the field. This podcast will be different as we journey to job sites and mine the minds of lean builders, all in effort to pass forward building knowledge from those who have put their time in to learn a better way. Because that's just what lean builders do.
What's up, y'all? Adam Hoots here, the lean builder. Hoots on the ground with no bullshido, literally hoots on the ground. Coming to you live from Kyoto, Japan with my man Thomas LaMay. Thomas, how do you feel about Kyoto so far?
Oh, like we were talking about this yesterday. And just pinch me.
Yeah. It's wild, huh?
Lean builder, Japan, lean construction. There's even a crane in the background.
Yeah, I hope y'all can see that. This has been, like the most amazing experience. Like check the list. World Expo's here. IGLC, the International Group for Lean in Construction. I got Thomas here. Several of the greatest, like the GOATs in lean construction, right?
All the names.
Yeah. Well, let's throw them out there. Like, let's give them their flowers, man. What names have you seen here?
Lynn Ballard.
Yeah, Dr. Ballard. Yeah,
Dr. Tomlin.
Dr.
Berkeley.
Tomlin. Yes, amen.
Covered.
Raphael from Berkeley as
Yes.
well. We got Dr. Alves is here.
Yeah, Thais Alves.
Thais. Oh, my
Who
goodness.
I'm actually going to present with at LCI.
Wow. That's a pretty big deal.
Talking about mental health and construction.
Give us a little preview for that, will you?
So, did you think about Thais, professor?
Yeah.
She did that scientific study she did a survey of a whole bunch of workers across the world, including a couple different geographies. And then it's also going to be her grad student. So they're presenting their paper, in which they probably presented yesterday. So their
Dominic.
research.
Yeah.
And then the other half of the presentation is me and Brian Winningham.
Ranger Winnie.
Hey,
yo.
and no bullshit up. We ripped the Band-Aid off, and the thing about what we're going to talk about is not just about wellness and health. It's about taking care of yourself. And so my thing is always, it's just like in an airplane. When you have the oxygen drops down from the mask, everybody says, well, what can we do for mental health and construction? Put your mask on first.
Amen.
You can't help anybody if you're sleep deprived. You can't help anybody if you're not getting help.
Yeah.
If you're eating bad foods, energy drinks, roller dogs. When you think about the American construction diet.
Yeah, QT, 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
That's what we live on.
And we got to change that.
Mm.
So we're going right after that, right at the heart of it. The psychology of men, because me and Brian, we're both men in construction. And we're going right at the heart of it. And we're going to talk about the real contributing factors to mental unwellness, maybe is a way to put it.
Yeah, no, I love that. So how do you take care of yourself? Actually, hold on. Let's back up a little bit. Tell the people who you are, because we walked through Philosopher's Park yesterday, and yeah, it was beautiful. Trying to find a spot, and we ended up just walking. It was so beautiful.
Through a temple too.
Yeah, we went through a Buddhist temple.
Nature walk.
Yeah, the nature boy.
Unexpected.
I'm pretty sure we ran into a grizzly bear.
I don't know what that was.
I got pictures though.
I had to go to Japan to get mauled by a small bear.
It was a raccoon flavored something going on. But yeah, back up the minute and just tell the people who Thomas LaMay is.
Thomas LaMay, I wear a lot of hats in construction. Currently, I'm project leader at one of our, probably our largest project in the Southeast right now at DPR Construction. And yeah, so it's awesome. I'd like the stuff that we talk about today, and we do.
Yeah.
So Takt, we do all of the artificial intelligence. We dip into that. All of the laser scanning, reality capture, last planner. We built ourselves an entire, and this is the awesome thing. We built an entire room dedicated to visual planning and stand-up planning. And so we're talking about the GOATs, like Dr. Ballard and Dr. Tomlin.
Yeah.
So you and me, we grew up kind of on their coattails.
Yeah, standing on their shoulders.
Oh,
as you said,
standing on the
presentation.
shoulders of giants.
Yeah.
I like to say. But we're no longer growing up anymore. I don't know if I'm grown, but I certainly have, at least in my position, like positional influence. So like the things that maybe even 5 years ago, we were like, oh, we should try this out. That's no longer a question. It's no, we're doing this. Like, we're doing Takt. This is how we're doing it. It's standard work. Last planner, want to put together a short interval plan on my project.
Yeah.
Better go ahead and send out the invite for the pole plan.
Bring it.
Because those are the things. So the things that were presented at IGLC, the things we talk about at LCI, things that we just talk about with each other in our little lean community, lean builders. We're doing. And now there's like a bigger body of knowledge. And I moved from Northern California to the Southeast, and I take that knowledge with me. And now we're just connecting worlds all over the place, and that's the best part.
Yeah, one of the things, I'll tell you, I sat through a presentation maybe 2 days ago. Anthony Munoz and his team presented on team health assessments and how they were measuring trust in real time, measuring just these different leadership characteristics in real time and able to make some just adjustments. And I was blown away by just the knowledge that he shared and he gifted to the room. Have you had any experience with team health assessments, or tell me more about this this mental health or this mindfulness? Like, me and you talked about it on our walk yesterday. It seems like it's creeping in more.
So what we heard more this week is there's a human element to production. There's this human element to being efficient. Like, what I mean by human, I meaning like it's beyond just being a working animal. You actually have a brain. All of us do, and it's a supercomputer. Like the world's. I mean, I'm building a hyperscale data center, and I bet the combined computing power of that massive data center doesn't compare to the human brain.
Yeah.
As complex it is, and all that thing. So, and the best part is like everybody has one.
But they're
if
not.
You're alive and sentient human being. You have a brain, and we need to use that. If we can tap into the collective, the supercomputer of many people, that's why these agile systems like Last Planner and Takt and team health assessments, you tap into that.
Right.
So if you're not doing that, if you're actually being like, oh, let's undervalue team health assessments, you're actually like underperforming, in my opinion, because you're not accessing that information and you're siloing things up. And when we make decisions in a silo, it's often done in haste. Yeah. And when we do things in haste, it's almost always full of bias and mistakes. It's just inherent.
Yeah.
So when you get a bigger group of people and actually listen,
Yeah.
and then go implement the things that the input that you get, it's so much better. Because it's that combined power of everybody's conscious brain.
Yeah.
But you got to do it. That's the hardest thing.
How do you do it though? What does that look like?
Have a conversation. Start it out. Step one, actually think about, we were talking about this yesterday, empathy. Like actually have empathy for another human being. And we said this yesterday, like maybe 10 years ago, respect for people. Remember we had that buzzword?
Yeah. I'm not a fan. Yeah.
What is that? To me, respect for people is cleaning your chemical toilets every day. Every day. Because you think about a chemical toilet on a project, job site. If you're a craft worker, often that's your only time to have a private moment, like by yourself on a construction job site. And you imagine, like, in that private moment, you're faced with racist graffiti.
Yeah.
The smell, if it's not clean and they're hot, like we're both,
Or freezing cold.
or freezing. Yeah. Like you're faced with all the elements because they're not air conditioned or lit or anything else. And that's your only time to have a private moment.
Wow.
Imagine being a woman in that same scenario where you have just the biological needs are different than what men need. It's how do we respect people? It's things like that. And do those things cost money? Yeah. My thing is, it's the cost of the work. It's not a luxury anymore. And I've just on the logistics and just treating people with dignity and respect, like having either more cleaning or even better, like having flush toilets, is respecting people. Because it's like we all have to do it. It's impossible not to.
It seems like such a small place to start, bro, right? I mean, and you mentioned women and their needs, and you sit there and wonder, like, why don't we have women in the industry? Well, I believe it's things like that.
100%.
100%.
Well, yeah.
So take me down this road. You've mentioned Last Planner, you've mentioned Takt and team health assessments, and how all of these things kind of revolve around the people, the human-centric side of things. So if somebody's out there watching this and they're like, man, Thomas, that's great and all, but it ain't gonna work on my job, right? Because my job's different. Where do you go with that person? How do you get them on this? Yeah, it is for your job.
Yeah.
What do you tell them? How do you get them going?
Start how? It's like
what,
how do you train for a marathon? You take the first step and put your shoes on, and then the next day when you're tired and sore, you put your shoes on.
You do it again.
And you do it again.
But what does that mean? What is putting your shoes on when it comes to taking care of humans on our jobs?
So, from my standpoint, now that I'm in project leadership, things like having extra shade, break tents that are air conditioned, chemical toilets that are cleaned every single day, those are line items on a budget. Every single one of those are a line item on our budget. And what can I do? If I get challenged, being like, this seems expensive, can we eliminate this and save some money? And the second I agree to that, I've just lowered the standard of care on our project. Just in that quick moment. Another way. It's you change the way you think about it. So there's a good movement as talking about these agile planning systems and then a more rigid system called CPM.
Yeah. You're gonna offend some people. Be careful here.
But I work at DPR. We use both. It's just the nature of the work. It's how we do business. It's tied to our business agreements. Here's the thing. What can you do if you're in a CPM only environment? When you open up the calendar view and it says 7 days, and I change an activity from a 5-day activity and I turn it on to the 7-day activity, that means that activity now runs on Saturdays and Sundays. It's really easy for me to just click the buttons and then hit F9, and it takes that activity and it runs it.
Now.
That work was easy for me. That decision for me was easy. The hard work is the people that do that work.
Execution.
So every time you make a decision, it's depending on your role and responsibility. But if you work in construction, everyone makes these decisions because it's all connected. It's a project that is built on a foundation. That foundation has a structure. The structure gets cladded. The clad becomes a building. So it's all interconnected.
Yeah.
You need every piece. So the decisions and the actions of each person, it accumulates. So if you think about that accumulation of action, if I just hit F9 and turn that activity on, that work was easy for me, but I made someone else's work harder.
With the click of a couple buttons.
But if we do this, I don't know, let's call it a 90-minute pull plan session, and then we take that pull plan session and we study it with Takt and production planning, and that takes another, say, 2-3 hours, And now we have a synchronized plan that's been built by collaboration of people, right? Who do the work, who know what's what and what's the real constraints. And then you do some synchronization with other plans and your logistics plans, those kind of things, like information. And the third thing you do is you actually like load in the constraints, things you cannot do, and say, okay, well, we can't do this because this material is still in the supply chain. So let's take this out of the plan, move this over here. That work is hard. But when you have this synchronized plan that's done, and it takes a lot of resources to do it. It takes time, it takes gathering people, it takes a venue to do so. You need you need training to know how to do that. Like, it takes a lot of front loading resources to do that. That work is hard. But guess what? The output is probably a pretty constraint-free plan, or that plan has been made already because of the effort that went into that planning session. And then when we go out and execute that work, this is the concept of flow. The hard work then of just the organization and the planning has been done. And so we've unburdened the workers. So they don't have to like do coordination and make promises and decisions on their own. Those promises and decisions are made by those same people ahead of time. So when they go out and execute the work, they just do the work. And then if that work is made easier. So that's my thing. So what can you do? It's always consider your actions and your decisions, have empathy for other people. And then I always say, is my decision that I'm doing, is this am I hitting the easy button and I'm making work harder for somebody else? If that's the decision, that's the wrong decision.
Man,
so you have to change your mindset with that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thought. Is the work hard for me or hard for somebody else who is the consequence of my decision? And it's hard to take some other people into account, especially 30% of our workers in the U.S. are from Spanish descent.
Yeah, depending on the location, could be more.
Yeah, fair enough. And so I hear, and I didn't think it would take us long to get into this, but I hear you saying, hey, look, we take care of one, the individual, and then we start really driving towards like this systems approach, this system mindset of, if I make a decision here in the schedule, there's going to be consequences down the line that a lot of times I don't even take into account or think about, or I don't feel it in the moment because it's so easy to just hit that button.
And
or as
you
something
did it in haste.
Yeah,
or you had bias and you had mistakes, and you transfer that bias and perhaps mistakes because you didn't have all the information. You didn't have your sequence like dialed in, so you just gave somebody a mistake. I took my mistake and I gave it to you, Adam. You deal with this now. I'm gonna go work on the next thing, and that's transferring waste. And so in Lean, we're about eliminating it. It's not transferring. We're not designing systems to make the transfer of waste better. We're in the system of designing systems to eliminate waste, get rid of it. So if we come across a mistake and a drawing, right, we have to correct it immediately, because guess what? In construction, let's say, call it a dimensional error in a drawing, it doesn't go away.
Yeah. No.
That dimensional error gets laid out. That layout, something eventually will get set on it. And then remember, everything's connected, even like a window system to a gutter to a roofing system. So if there's dimensional error, we'll have problems. And then the hard work of the workers gets torn apart but guess in that situation, who gets blamed for the mistake? You're a plumber.
It's me.
You understand how gravity works. Right?
Yeah, how come you can't see? Yeah, the layout was there, the walls were there, and you still messed it up. What happened? How could you do that, plumber?
So when you're designing a system, whatever you come across, errors or waste, you have to design your system to allow for the elimination of it. If your plan has no buffer, if your plan has no contingency, if your plan is finish to start, 7 days, it's a bad plan.
Yeah, no doubt. Because something's going to go wrong, right? I mean, something always
does.
We're in construction. Something's going to happen.
I know we're in Japan, but this is the gentleman from Ireland. He's named Murphy.
Yeah. A law.
Murphy-san?
Right? Yeah, Murphy-san. He has a nice law that says if it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
At the worst possible moment.
Yeah.
And that wears on a person doing the work. If you think about it, if you did hard work, you work in elements, you work at edges, you work at height, you had to tie yourself off to something all day long and wear a harness. And at the end of the week, that work that you put in that's wrong. How do you feel? You feel terrible.
Yeah. Insert mental health problems here, huh?
Boom.
I mean,
how do we fix it? There you go. You go right at it.
We design systems that engineer waste out of it, is what I hear you saying. We design systems like we approach safety. We try and engineer out safety hazards first. And then when we can't engineer out safety hazards, then we modify our approaches such that we can deal with those safety hazards.
So you can manage it.
Yeah.
Manage the risk. The worst thing we can do is just hope or get lucky.
Yeah, they say in our industry, you can hope in one hand and
do something in the other.
Yeah. See which one fills up first. Yeah. Pretty sure it's not the hope that fills up first.
That's right. So yeah, if you're just starting, don't get frustrated. It's like starting anything. It's like you not be successful out of the gate. And anyone who says, hey, this is a system that we can make it easier or faster or better just by doing a quick boot camp and like a 20-minute pull plan session and then just go out and execute the work, is not
bullshido.
It's bullshito.
You're not going to get better, faster, stronger with one workout.
It's
right?
back to my marathon. If you wanted to run a marathon, you have to train for months and record your metrics and calculate your pace and do all the things, and only then will you actually probably be able to go execute.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you go not train for a marathon and then go sign up and go execute, it's going to be a bad day.
Yeah.
Could you slog through it?
Slog through anything.
Like, could I walk 26 miles? Yeah.
Yeah, by the way,
it's going to take a long time.
I've walked 125 miles since we've been here, and I've lost...
How many is that in kilometers?
Oh, jeez. Hold on.
Metric system.
Let me grab my Google. Yeah. So let's talk about that real fast and how that plays into respect for people. Yeah. I just recently found out, I think you're the one that educated me. We are one of 3 countries in the world that use the imperial system. And we being in the United States, how does that relate to respecting people? How does that relate to everything we're talking about right now with progressive systems and people?
Yeah. Well, the error in that, like in your weights and measurements, like idea, the error usually happens in that conversion. And you can't even do it in your brain.
No, I can't. I'm an
Don't
American.
ask me. I'm 100% American. I even dropped the A.
American.
Or usually where we make mistakes is where the metric system and the SI system have to work together.
Yeah.
Like you get a supply chain item that's brought over, and I don't know if you've ever seen a tape measure with a metric on one side, and
I haven't. No.
But if you can imagine the lines, like the centimeter lines and the fraction of an inch, they don't line up. They get close. They get really close. But you have to do that calculation, and that's where, if you have to do a calculation, you introduce error, right? Rounding.
Yeah. That's what we were talking about earlier with that
like,
easy bug.
That's why, we're just talking about like the difference between SI and metrics. Both systems work, and they're both effective. The problem lies when we try to change. Because it's difficult, because we're not used to it.
So just sitting here talking to you makes me think of, I met a gal named Saki at this conference, and she works with Takanaka, who is a Japanese general contractor. Yeah, one of the top 4 here. Her PhD topic was discovering the hidden needs of humans. And so I just want to pause and reflect on that.
I just want to pause and say there's a general contractor that has an entire research department.
Yeah. And yeah, like
full-time employees devoted just to research.
Yeah, shout out to Jefferson, because that man made one comment at Industry Day, and he said, people were like, hey, how do you define lean? And Jefferson, also with Takanaka, who is one of the lead research engineers, he said, well, lean is just the Western's world at attempting to define multiple words and their complexity. And so, again, I want to tie these two things together. Yeah, shout out these Japanese general contractors for having a research.
Obayashi, another one.
Yeah. And they all have these research departments, but how do you discover the hidden needs of humans?
We're going to talk about this at LCI, but Brian and I, we're writing a book, and it's in the first chapter.
Ranger Winnie?
Ranger Winnie.
Yeah, baby.
It's about to drop next year. Get ready, world.
2026, yeah. Can you give us a title yet, or we have to wait?
Working title, but this chapter, I mean, I wrote it, and once we had it put together, and actually that chapter is public, so we already published that chapter, so I'll give you the link.
Please, I'll put it in the show notes for everyone.
I wept when I read it. Like, finally, like, once we had it all edited and put together, and we were ready to put it on the interwebs.
Yeah. Can you tell us? Can you give us a preview?
The chapter is called "A Construction Suicide."
Oh wow!
It goes right at it.
Wow!
And it deals. It's a story.
Chapter number 1. Nice.
1 out of the gate. And talk about Ranger Winnie, like violence of action.
Yeah. Great story.
Go right at it. And the concept is like, it's a story about a construction suicide and how a small crew of carpenters, and it's a drywall and metal framing. That's our like conceptual fictional crew who we follow the story through. But they deal with that out of the gate, and towards the middle and towards the end of the chapter, they still have to get inspections. They still have to go to the coordination meeting
and get yelled at. Yeah.
They get yelled at for not being productive, even though they lost one of their key people, literally lost. And they have to deal with that. And the fallout that goes with it. If you've ever been involved with a sudden loss of somebody who's really close to you, that person is gone. Like, that you have to deal with their mortal remains, and you have to do their services, and you have to go through that. So you go through this series of scenes, like you go to the hospital, right? And then you go to the services to have them interned, and then you actually go to the funeral. And then after they're buried, and you don't move on right away, it starts to fade. But you have to consider that thing. So the chapter we talk about, I'll give you the link. I hope everybody reads it. It's a quick read, but it is heavy. And it talks about our work, and life goes on. And so you still have to do the things that you have to get that inspection called in on Tuesday to get your in-wall signed off, just because that's the nature of our work. But you have to consider that. So all those things weigh in. But no, we go right at it.
No,
that's out of the gate. And that becomes the genesis, because it's, hey, this person is gone. If you think about men and masculinity, a lot of our symptoms with mental health, maybe depression, maybe substance abuse, maybe not getting enough sleep, maybe we got problems at home. We usually, as men, we hide that.
Not okay.
We hide the issue. Yeah. We hide.
Oh, you're soft, sissy.
We hide that.
Yeah.
And then, also think about our industry. We don't go look for it. We don't. We walk and look for people's. Are they tying off? Are you wearing your safety glasses, gloves? Are you following the procedures? But I can't see into your brain. I can't see what's going on behind your eyeballs.
But there are ways to do
if
that.
you know what to look for.
Yeah.
So
educate us, please.
We need to understand what to go and see when someone's having a mental health crisis or an episode. Maybe it's even an acute episode, like someone having a panic attack is an acute mental health episode. It's like cutting your arm open. So you have to be able to recognize those things, and that the end of that chapter, I was saying the end of that chapter, we call them after action reports, ARs. Plus they sound cool.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, that's a military concept.
100%.
Right? Yeah.
But so we give a whole bunch of links to resources to go check out to understand. Like you can go get certified in mental health first aid.
Yeah.
And just by knowing the symptoms, like someone having a panic attack, what does that look like? Like it doesn't happen in the middle of the OAC meeting. It usually happens in a stairwell, right? Like off to the side.
Yeah.
And so you have to know the signs, know the symptoms. That's step one.
Just
step
knowing.
2, is you have to take action. Because remember, if someone's having a panic attack or maybe they're just passed out, they're not fully capable of your person, right? You're not fully conscious during an acute mental health event. So if I'm coming across you, Adam, and you're having a mental health, I have to take care of myself, and I have to take care of you. So if we one, don't go look for it, and 2, if we come across it and we ignore it, or be like, dude, go rip some dirt on it, go walk it off.
Suck it up. Yeah.
Go suck it up. Let's go have a beer.
Oh, common way to go.
Let's go blow off some steam and do the numbing and coping. Doesn't help. That's not helping. That's, in my mind, that could be you contributing to the problem. So you have to take action. To take action. And if we did that, just a little bit of action, think about, there's 11 million construction workers just in the United States. Might even be more. That was the last time I looked.
Reported, yeah.
Yeah, and those are the people who are reported.
Right.
But 11 million, just maybe you do it once per year. Think about 11 million acts of kindness, of getting someone help, just having a conversation. So at the end of this chapter, they're sitting in the foreman meeting, and our main character notices something off about another foreman. And so at the end of the meeting, he goes in and he says, hey, I think tell me what's going on. And the other foreman just unloads. He's like, I got problems at home. I got all this stuff. And if you think about all of that tension, that gentleman, and this is a fictional story, but we're just protecting the innocent by making names fictional.
Yeah. Could be about any one of us.
But if you actually take that burden and you share it with somebody and say, hey, let's go grab coffee. That's what they do. They go off the job site, get away from this situation, get away from that just for maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and actually have a conversation about it. It gets you out of your head, and then you can get better. It's just like doing a time and motion study. Like you want to watch curtain wall setting gang. Say, hey, we need to pick up the pace with our curtain wall setting. I'm gonna set up some GoPros.
Yes.
I'm gonna go out there and I'm gonna take some notes. I'm gonna look where they got their materials are established. That's easy. We can go do that. But going out there and say, hey, I'm gonna go do a mental health walk. I gotta go look for people with scowls on their face.
Yeah, that's an interesting concept.
Who does that? Not often.
I honestly can't say I do mental health walks on my job site. I don't.
I'm very conscious of it, and I don't think I do it enough. Probably not even close. Here's the one way you can do it. Actually, 2.
Yeah.
First way, just like I said, you see something, do something.
Not say something.
Do something. That means, hey, grab this person and say, hey, you're having a panic attack. Let's go to a clinic. If it's an acute symptom, 911, 100%. And if that 911 turns into a recordable injury, I don't care.
Yeah, could have been worse.
Could be you just saved a life.
If you hit the easy button, it could have been worse.
Yeah. The easy button is say, hey, take this off the job site so it don't hit our books.
Feelings at this. cake.
Yeah. So we have to do that. And then the stigma, if our insurance premium goes up because we had a recordable injury because I prevented someone from committing suicide, I'll pay that. I'll pay it right out of our fee 100% every single day. And the second way,
So
I did say there was two.
Yeah, good. Wow, you have me so buried in thought. Yeah, tell me, please.
Take care of yourself.
Jeez.
So what does that mean? That means all of the things, and that's hard work. It's getting sleep. And I'm working in Atlanta, or based out of Atlanta, but I was based in San Francisco area. Almost all, I would say 90%. I would say definitely over half. Even in Charlotte, in North Carolina, super commuters. That means like a commute longer than 90 minutes each way.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
So if you think about a commute longer than 90 minutes each way for a week, that's a part-time job.
It's 1,100 miles in a week.
I know. At the time, it could be 20 hours a week. Just moving your physical body from point A to point B. So it's like if I'm doing 20 hours a week just sitting in a truck, and then I'm working 60 hours, how much time is left to see your family?
Or take care of me.
It starts getting... there's only so much time in the day.
Yeah.
And you have to get sleep, otherwise we'll die. Like it's a very, very biological thing.
It's kind of how I feel right now. This week has been rough.
I know.
Not a whole lot of sleep.
So that's where you start. So I always say, how do you take better care of yourself, Thomas? Because that's what people sound like when they say
When you hear it, yeah.
Monitor your sleep. The last 2 hours, there's been scientific study. If you get 8 hours, optimally. Some people need less, some people need more. But on average, if you had to average it out, about, let's call it 8 hours. The last 2 hours of that 8 hours is the most important. The most important, because that's when your heart rate dips. That's when all of the magical hormones in your body do all the regeneration of your organs, all the things, right? If you're stripping that out, you're missing out on that benefit, and your health is not made better with sleep. It becomes a cycle, right? So monitor your sleep 100%. And the one thing that we do in construction, we work crazy hours. We work early morning pours. Because it's just because of the physical nature of the work, right? The logistics of getting things. We have to do these things. So if we're doing those things are difficult to change, then I can't just submit to those things. I have to be strong and capable and brave and courageous and take care of myself first before my family. Because if I'm not around for my family, then I'm not helping them anyways. And if I'm abusing substances to get sleep or come out of not getting sleep, so let's say I get poor sleep and I'm dragging in the morning and I go grab that, I won't name the company, but that like a tall boy of energy.
Yeah. There's a bunch of them. Or pop a pill or anything else. It's available to people these days.
And those substances are available because we don't get enough sleep.
Yeah.
And so if I catch myself grabbing for those, that's the indicator. So you got to watch it. If you're not like wearing a device, and we have all kinds of crazy devices now that monitor your sleep. One indicator is if I'm grabbing for a substance to make up for my lack or just unhygienic sleep, estrogen can't take care of that. And then it's all of the things we do in lean, like study, look for root causes, look for contributing factors, look for constraints, all of those things that we do for production, like all of the things that we do for better efficiency, like we will line up our dumpsters just so it's really easy to get the trash off the building and have it picked up. Do the same thing in your bedroom. Get all the blue light out of that. Then get some blackout shades. Here's a cheap way. Get foil. Put it up in your window.
Reminded me of my college days now.
So it's like you don't have to spend a whole bunch of money to do so. And I want to spend a bunch of time on this because We don't talk about this enough. We talk about, hey, this is a problem, and hey, we need to do something. But it's like, what do you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
So my thing is, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
If everybody took care of themselves first, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Man, my mind goes,
And I'm walking proof of it. I dropped 80 pounds with this mindset.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's this knowing doing gap, as a wise man asked me yesterday. Talk to me about that knowing doing gap, will ya?
I'm obsessed with it.
Yeah, me too. It's a great Harvard Business Review Journal article out there on it.
This is a good book. It's called Knowing Doing Gap. There's so many. The gap. It's a gap. It means like knowing, let's say it's a ratio. Say knowing is one side of the ratio, and then there's the colon, and then doing is the other. So anything like I was just talking about, getting sleep. Most people know.
Yeah.
8 hours is required. If you didn't know that, you probably wake up tired and be like, oh, I sure wish I could sleep longer.
Yeah.
So people know this. That's that half of the ratio guy. It's also being like, hey, we should do a synchronized collaborative plan instead of just creating one in a silo and sending it out and saying thou shalt. That's knowing. And then the other half of that ratio is doing.
Execution. Yeah.
And so if I knew I needed to do this thing that could potentially help this project, or if I made this decision that it would have this outcome, but if I hesitate, or if I waver, or if I slow roll it, be like, oh, let's
easy button.
Hit the easy button.
Yeah.
That's the gap. So in the gap, sometimes this gap is huge, and that gap is full of all kinds of constraints. Because we're human beings, right? So some of them are physical, like I just mentioned, like you have a long commute, right? So if you have a long commute, that's a gap. I have to figure out, how can I overcome this commute situation? There's many that you can, but sometimes, hey, maybe I can't, because I am assigned to this thing, and I'm devoted to it. I'm committed to it, and my special skill set is needed at this location. So this gap here, this time constraint, I have to deal with it. So I have to look elsewhere then, and start to make decisions around it. And so that gap between knowing and doing is a scary place. But it gets less scary when you start to incorporate the framework of lean, for me, or other frameworks like systems thinking. So it's like, Thomas, how did you lose 80 pounds? Would you do keto or whatever?
Were you in Kyoto, walking around, eating sushi?
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. Like, whatever the constraint was, like, hey, I ate a lot of sugar. I'm like, this is a problem. This sugar input from what I put in my body, I have to address these.
Wow. It's a beautiful example.
And then other things is, hey, we have this, we're doing a high-rise building, and we're on a cycle time, and we're moving the formworks up, and then there's one step of this formwork setup that's like, it's just sketchy.
Like close to the edge, or whatever it is. Yeah.
And this work is scary. Like it's sketchy. And
I know something's not right.
You know, when we do this activity, that this activity carries all kinds of crazy risk. If we don't address that risk at ground level, we don't address it at the second level, we don't address it at third, fourth, fifth, sixth, let's call it a 60-story building. You have 60 chances to address that one activity that's sketchy, that creates like potential for harm, either for the property or for human beings, either on the project or down below. Right. If we don't address that, that's the gap. And so in systems thinking, this is another project I'm working on. Something happens, there's a phenomenon that happens. And this phenomenon is called emergence.
Which is the opposite of siloed thinking.
Yes, so the concept of emergence, I always use the analogy of a roof leak.
Yeah.
When does a roof leak?
Well, when it rains.
When it rains, right?
Yeah.
What do we usually do when it rains on a job site?
We go home.
Shut her down, right? So if I know that roofs leak during rainstorms, but if I go home or don't go out into the job site because I don't want to get wet, there's the gap. There's this gap.
Great example.
That if the only time I'm inspecting the roof is when it's 72 degrees and sunny, I'll never find the problem.
Yeah, there is no problem.
Because there's not one. It's
Right?
not
Easy
leaking.
button. Yeah.
The phenomenon that's emergence it's unexpected, but that consequence of not performing good roofing inspections,
Yep.
not doing a walk down during a rainstorm while you're doing construction, just not having those behaviors that you know are good. Like all of these things is probably written into the specifications. I can almost guarantee it is. You probably have, if it's a large enough project, you might even have a third party involved with this process. If you're thinking that third party is a pain in the ass, your emergence is about to happen. And the emergence is we put in a ceiling. When we do drywall, we put in expensive electrical components that are sensitive to water.
They're covering
We
it up.
might even put expensive, let's say a piece of switch gear, very expensive component right
This
below
sounds
it.
like a personal example.
I know, it's like PTSD.
Yeah.
The people involved in this situation will remain nameless, but
Sure.
let's
Protect
say
the
this
innocent.
happened.
Yep. Yeah, in the event, it might have
Yeah.
happened.
The roof leak happened and the expensive equipment gets damaged and we're surprised. We're looking up, we're like, where's this water coming from? What happened? Who's at fault?
Who's paying for this?
Who's paying for it? Because insurance is about to get involved. And we start filling out these incident reports, and the incident reports, they start asking the questions. Did we perform the inspection? When was the last time this roof was signed? Ask all of the things that are required in the specifications, and how all of a sudden we're surprised by that.
Yeah. Well,
That's the phenomenon that's emergent. So the emergent situation is something that we knew would likely happen. And
The
we're just
emergent-
surprised by it. The Hubble telescope is one, right?
tell me.
The Hubble telescope, if you don't know the story, it has these plates that it's a telescope, so it's a series of mirrors and lenses. It's just really fancy,
That's how they work.
right?
Yeah.
But the mirror was not built to of extreme tolerance that it needed to be. It was slightly off, and because of a quality issue, and that quality issue did not get didn't get caught in its production, didn't get caught in I'm sure they tested that telescope before they shot it into space. You would hope, right? That quality problem in that mirror didn't become a emergent problem until they turned it on. They tried to look at a planet with it, and it was blurry.
Wow, I did not know that.
So, talk about a problem. We have a spacecraft we have to go fix, and so respecting people, we had to send astronauts into space with tools. These are trade workers, by the way. You can go on YouTube and watch the work. The repair of the Hubble telescope. They use bolts. They use wrenches. They got some cool tools.
I bet.
But think of the danger.
They're floating away, not just falling,
Yeah, just getting there in a space shuttle.
but
It's no different than doing a half-assed job with a top-of-wall fire stopping inspection,
yeah.
and then be like, we didn't look at it until we were right about to install the drywall.
And now you're reaching
Now-
over duct work.
You got to do a yoga pose through a bunch of punji sticks and all kinds of sharp. How is that respecting a human being? Like designing work in that interstitial space between a ceiling and a deck to do activity that could have been done months ago from a scissor lift with minimal risk. You just drive up to it and go up to it, fix it. So yeah, the emergent behavior, or I guess the emergent issue, we come across this all the time, and we have even I deal with it. We have these programs, software programs that track quality issues.
Yeah.
We spend millions of dollars on these things, but Sometimes I think we could have just used a pencil and paper and a quick checklist and you did a top of wall walk down. It could have cost almost nothing. It's just the hard work was actually physically going out walking. So I'm obsessed with emergent because whenever you have a rainstorm, you have a free opportunity to test your roof. You just gotta go. You gotta go look at it that way.
Yeah. So you've got my mind turning in two different directions right now, and I want to hit you with two questions at once, and I want you to take it wherever your mind goes. Okay. So I want to draw a parallel between our two conversations so far. One, right, we're talking about mental health and how do you go and spot those issues with, how do you discover the hidden needs of people, as we put it. And then now you're talking about, right, the building and how do you discover the hidden needs of a building. You mentioned the
Notice how those are related.
Yeah, well, that's where I'm going.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's so that's exactly where I'm heading. The easy button is just, you said, put the drywall up, right? Put the ceiling up, and then we'll deal with it.
Look for the leaks.
Yeah.
Look for the brown spot. There it is.
Yeah. And that'll show us where it is. But then there's this horrible tracing of where it came from that who knows. And so
and the damage.
Yeah, well, yeah, and you're repairing.
And the potential risk.
And so then draw that parallel back to the mental health side of it, right? Hey, we had an opportunity to go out and do a mental health walk, as you said. We had an opportunity to go spot this leak early, and we didn't. And now that brown mark on the drywall is a dead body. And when you stop and think about that, like, how you do one thing is how you do everything is a very common term. And if we're going to do that to a building, we're 100% going to do it to a human.
Yeah, the concept, if you're going to change your behavior because of a situation changes, I don't buy it.
Yeah.
I don't buy it.
I agree.
If you do behavior one way, we're human beings. We follow patterns. We are no different.
That's mine.
I am not exempt from that statement either. I am as flawed and imperfect as anyone else. That's why I like to call it a practice.
I love it.
It's like yoga or surgery. You're always learning.
Yeah.
And the second you think you're a master,
You fooled yourself.
Start over.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, brilliant transition into my second thing.
But I'll answer your question quickly. I'll go back to my chapter.
Don't be quickly, please.
So the chapter Brian and I wrote, we addressed this issue with suicide. When if you've ever been associated with construction suicide, if you work in construction long enough, you will. It's the unfortunate truth.
Yeah.
It's about one in every about 1,600 people. Wow. I have a project right now. We have that many working every single day. So we are not exempt. So the longer you work in construction, you will deal with this. So we talked about this. Brian and I both have dealt with this many times. Once is too many, but it will happen. You deal with the unfortunate death, that person who's been hiding their depression, they've been hiding their substance abuse, they've been hiding problems at home. Once they're past and they're no longer able to hide, the facts come out. So in the story,
That roof leaks.
The roof will leak. So in the story, they're at the funeral and our main character is talking to the wife of the departed. And they have a conversation and I think the facts come out. He was depressed. He was abusing his prescription medication, trying to self-medicate. He was hiding his depression his whole time. And they were like, we didn't even know. We didn't even know. And so that's the same thing, same phenomena. The roof leak or the facts that come pouring out at a wake. You try to remember someone, and if you dealt with the unfortunate loss of somebody that's unexpected, our human nature is we want to make sense of it. Like, how could this happen? And usually the facts come pouring out that we could have helped him. We could have helped him deal with his substance abuse. We could have helped him deal with his depression. There are professionals dedicated you were able to go get help for the most part, at least in the United States.
Well, that's what they're there for, right?
But you gotta go do it. You gotta take action. So if that problem is hidden, just like a poorly executed a roof detail around a drain, that problem sits there, and it's not a problem when it's 72 and sunny. It's not a problem. It could sit there for a month. But imagine if it's in like Arizona, it could sit there for several months.
Yeah.
And it only takes one massive rainstorm, and
The facts come pouring out.
The problem with suicide, Adam, it's forever. You can't rework a human being.
Man.
You can't fix it. That's the problem. The difference with suicide and construction, we can renovate a building. We can tear that roof off. We can redo the
Sealant.
all the sealants, all the flashing. Like we can do it right. We can do all the inspections. Right. We can redo the behavior. There's a timeout, and we can do it. It might delay the project. Some people might have hurt feelings, but in the end, that problem will get fixed. The problem with suicide is forever. So that decision that we make in haste, that person makes, they can't escape their own brain. You can't fix that. So our effort to go out and find that problem, it's got to be elevated. But the behavior, to answer your question, is the same. You got to go look for it. And then once you come across it, you got to fix it. The second we look away or we accept a problem, then we're part of that. We just contribute to it.
It's tacit approval. Yeah. So I want to hit you with this because it's weighing heavy on my mind right now as we're sitting here in Kyoto, Japan, and oh, it's beautiful. It's perfect. It's 72 and sunny, and it's beautiful. There's no roof leaks. It's hard to have a mental health problem right now.
20 centigrade. Yeah.
Stupid Americans. Sorry. What are we doing? Come on.
We're in Japan.
But I do want to hit you with this.
Everybody in America is sleeping.
Yeah, they are. Well,
it
getting
should
ready
be.
Yeah. Getting ready to
on
like
the East
12,
Coast.
13 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I do want to hit you with this because we're out here for the International Group for Lean Construction. And there are some brilliant minds out here that know a full lot of things, right? This group is
Legends.
Yeah, we mentioned them earlier, but this group is turning over knowledge that's so profound and so necessary for the industry. But then you have this, what we're doing in the industry. So it's this physical, like I see it so clear. It's the knowing side of it, theoretical side of it. And then what are we actually doing in construction? And that gap is enormous.
I literally was able, you were in there too, with Iris Tomlins.
Yeah.
She wrote down the calculus equation. It's probably actually algebra. It's an equation.
Fooled me. And I finally understand the -1 thing, by the way, folks. Thank you, Dr. Tom.
We'll drop the link to that paper in here too.
Yes.
But the knowledge how to do strategic takt planning is there. It's written. There's steps to it. There's an equation. You follow the steps, you can do takt. You can do strategic takt planning.
Yeah, we know how to
do it. It can be done.
But what are we doing?
To do it, you got to take your information on your specific project, saying I have this many floors, I have this many work zones, I have this many tasks, right? All of those parts of that equation, I have to plug those in. I have to go into my project. I have to do the rework. I have to do the research. I have to say, okay, it's this many locations, it's this many zones. Hey, we don't
-1.
We don't. Yeah, take one away, right?
Yeah. Because you're counting wagons and zones, and you take that last one away. I fully understand now. Yeah.
So that knowledge is there. You don't have to go design a system how to do takt plan.
This is not a self-discovery kind of thing. Yeah.
You have to obviously read the paper and perhaps think about some concepts to it, and you might have to go create some zones on your job site or in your work area and think about how many tasks there are. Once you've done that, you can go do it.
Yeah.
But what's preventing us from doing that? Our current reality
Nice.
It's crazy. What do I got to do? I got to go get up and 2 a.m. and pour concrete. When am I going to have time to sit down and count the zones? I work in a highly, highly wasteful process, full of meetings, full of it's just not synchronized information. And I have to do all the sorting, and I have to do all of that. That's the current reality. It is that a lot of the waste that we talk about, we're trying to eliminate, is actually, these are people's jobs. So eliminating waste, we could potentially eliminate the need for a full-time employee, but instead of getting rid of that employee, we can reassign that person to a more in-depth role on something else. But to do that requires hard work.
Yeah.
Requires a hard conversation, requires a decision, requires some logistical planning thing. But if we're unwilling to do that, then Iris's entire theory, her research, some experiment just sits on paper. Yeah. And there is now 33 years, just IGLC, of knowledge. And there was, 136 papers this year?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Somewhere around those lines. Yeah.
136 times 33 is a big number. I'm not going to try to do it, speaking of algebra.
38,000-ish.
Yeah. That's all that. There's no paywall to any of those papers.
No. IGLC-conference papers.
Yeah. Just Google it.
Yeah.
How am I sitting here, Adam? I read the paper.
And you not just...
And went out and tried something.
Experimentation.
I was thinking of this morning. I wanted to do this. We were talking about this yesterday. We started this meeting with a freaking in Japan, pinch me. But my lean journey has taken me around the world, just doing wild stuff, like almost getting mauled by a tiny bear. In Japan,
scary,
on a nature hike.
I'm gonna send that picture. People are really laughing at us, but that's funny.
But if we were to talk about the projects that you've worked on, think about the crazy shit that you've worked on. But also impactful. And I was like, you just name one. Name one thing that's like super impactful.
Stem cell research.
Stem cell research.
Or how about the atomic clock of North America, the clean room that holds the time for North America?
That everybody uses.
Everybody, like my watch, your watch, everybody's on it. Yeah.
Impact.
Or healthcare facilities.
So I've worked on many healthcare facilities. Who, one in particular is a rehab facility where people who were recently either paralyzed or somehow injured, they learn how to live their lives. You have to but think about the social and the emotional and just the impact. I'm not doing the rehab. Like those are the nurses and the doctors and the staff that helps with that process. I give them the roof and the windows and the air conditioning for them to go out and execute that. So that's healthcare. What's another one?
Well, so here's where you have my mind right now. So
massive impact. Right.
Have you ever heard the story of the 3 different Masons working on the church? So 3 Masons working on a church, and I'll keep it brief because it's about you, not me. The first Mason says, I'm just laying these bricks just to get a paycheck. Second Mason says, I'm laying these bricks so that I can build this wall. Right? That third Mason looks at his work as if I'm laying these bricks in order to build a pathway to God. Right? And so when you think about meaning in work and really trying to drive home, we're building healthcare facilities in order to take care of people. Like I was on a DPR, I partook in a DPR project at a hospital in Greenville, South Carolina, that 3 years later I had a kidney transplant in. So not only are we helping impact the world, we're impacting ourselves at some point. And so
eventually we get to use the facilities that we've worked in.
Yeah. And do you really want to have hit that easy button when you're lying on an operating table getting a kidney transplant and the water's puddling up the
I hope that sprinkler detail we put in.
You nailed it, man.
We didn't put a screw through it.
Well, I can tell you the operating...
but think about it. And you work in plumbing.
Yeah. I wasn't very good, but yes.
But plumbing, we don't function as a society without it.
Doctors don't heal. Teachers don't teach.
We've become unsanitary. We're in cholera, the plague, all these things like almost immediately happen if we don't have just good gravity systems. And some of those gravity systems, not that fun to deal with. They have to go into confined spaces.
Yes.
You have to
deal with some, I'm getting some PTSD here.
But we have to value those things because even if you're digging a ditch for a sewer system, that sewer system allows that facility to stay open. The second that sewer system has a clog or some kind of a problem, that problem in that sewer system transposes back in that facility.
It becomes an emergent sea.
You got it. There's purpose in everything.
Thomas, you're preaching to my heart because I hear you talking about the snow and doing gap.
Yes.
I hear you talking about taking care of myself first. I like all of these things, but take me through, what does this look like in the design of a production system? What are those steps? Make this easy for us. Give us.
We were walking into the shop, remember yesterday, and I said, your production system, you can design it yourself the way you want it, but also not designing a production system is
designing a production system. Yeah.
So that means you will, and what I mean by that is if you don't design your own processes the way you want it to, somebody else will. Either like your manager or the group that you work with, just the inherent nature of human beings.
So somebody's going to do it.
Someone will design it for you.
If you don't have a plan, you'll become part of
somebody else's plan.
Yep.
That goes for everything. So you have to take an incredibly conscious effort. The case study that we presented here in Japan, project I'm working on now, and we made the conscious decision from out of the gate in pre-construction, we're designing our production system. We're going to consciously design it, and we're gonna not. And the case study is DPR didn't design it ourselves. We designed part of it, the part that we can influence and the part that we have input in.
Yeah.
But that's only part of the system. So my co-author and co-presenter, Miss Kim Simmons.
Yeah, I got to meet her. Fantastic.
Geotechnical engineer, not part of our contract. Works for the owner.
Yeah.
Complete third party. So inherently, we could just be like, well, we'll just follow the specs, Thomas. That's if you want to.
That's her easy button.
Yeah, the easy button. Just do the things that are on this geotechnical report.
Yeah.
I know we're looking at the geotechnical report, like there's missing information in this geotechnical report that we could come across. We hadn't started, right?
Yeah, a little feed forward control.
So it's like when you deal with these large job sites with massive land development and grading and backfill, you're dealing with the earth. The earth isn't a homogeneous substance. It's got all kinds of, it's got sand, it's got silt. We're in South Carolina, so it's all kinds of sediment stuff in there.
Yeah.
It doesn't all work the same. So if we have a rigid system saying, hey, we're going to do this on Takt and we're going to backfill, you only give it 1 day for backfill, like 1 day activity. That 1 day it rains, or that 1 day there's some kind of variance into it. If we don't have a system that's designed for that variation, our system is inherently flawed.
Yeah.
Because the current reality is the material that we work with is highly variable, but our production system has to match that variation. It has to match it.
You're speaking right to my presentation right now with the feedback, which is what we do, and it's slow to react.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Feed forward, which is exactly what you just said. What if we come into this situation?
Remember that gentleman from Ireland, Murphy? He's got to say.
That son of a gun. But then there's also concurrent, right? Where it's like in real-time moments, we're able to make audibles. Oh, I left this out of my presentation.
100%.
I was going to Peyton Manning Omaha when I did that.
That's also it. So whenever you deal with contingencies, you need to have a way to like rapidly communicate that we are going to deviate from the plan.
Yeah.
So part of the system that we design, and it's a huge process, man. It's huge. We had to design it. And we had to design a system where we come across the situation we needed guidance from an expert. Let's call it a geotechnical engineer. A geotechnical engineer is in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's not in Aiken, South Carolina, where I am. That's 3 hours away, right?
Yeah.
So,
and not easy. Yeah.
so we designed a system that, hey, during this time and in these moments, we need you to be available to make quick decisions, and so we can not have downtime associated with these variations.
Yeah.
So we design the systems in. One, we have to design a communication systems. We have to agree on timing, on how
Methods,
we're texting or emailing, or we using ACC build. What are we doing?
Yes.
And so we have to agree on that. Before you go and do it, you have to agree on the method. So we design those things into it. So we designed the process. That was the decision that we made. So we had to make a decision. Number one, we're going to design this process. Number two, DPR or my entity, we can't do this by ourselves. We need, because we're not the only ones in the process.
All in player,
And then three, we didn't stop there. We included our trade. And I'm not saying like the project managers from the trade. I'm talking about the workers that set storm drain in a ditch. Because guess who's the closest to the soil?
Yeah, the last controller.
Guys that's standing on it, right?
Yeah.
So remember the action, the gap between knowing and doing? Well, the gap was we needed rapid information sharing from the place of the work back to the geotechnical engineer.
In Charlotte.
Guess who has a camera in their pocket?
Every last controller in that
Yes.
hole. Yes.
So we used WhatsApp or some kind of, we use WhatsApp, but we use some kind of communication channel that everybody can see. Just WhatsApp is shared among, it's like a group chat that everybody can see it at the same time. There's no hiding of information. And so we're like, okay, we decided we're going to incorporate these trade workers into this process. We need to teach them how to communicate very specifically how a geotechnical engineer speaks.
Yeah.
And so
A little bit of education. That's all.
And guess what happened? The gravity system crew, they were over in the moon. They're like, yeah, we want to know.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't like, no, we can't be bothered with this. They thought it was cool as shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, you get to speak directly. There's no filter between you and this engineer.
Yeah.
So, and then back from the engineer back to that crew. Because remember, we cut all the gaps, all the steps, all the filtering. It's got to go through Kim. It's got to go through me. It's got to go through my staff. It's got.
Man, think about the cycle time
Remember the
improvement.
conversion problem or metric? It's the same issue. So like, let's eliminate that.
Great analogy.
And we go straight back to the crew and be like, this is the fix. You use geofabric, you use 57 stone, you use whatever it is, whatever the fix was. And it was like within minutes, they're back to work. And guess what happens when there's no downtime in the situation?
We get shit done. Nice.
And smiles.
Oh, from a job site morale.
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's a reinforcing effect that happened. They wanted to do it more.
It becomes addictive.
So yeah, I wrote down some steps that we did and like how we were influenced. So the first thing we did, once we kind of had the framework of the system designed, remember I said we had to have a system of communication. So that system of communication in Lean, talk about Ollie, Seppan, but it's that location-based management system, kind of complex theory. What I say is give everything an address. So if you're going to mail, physical mail, a letter to that issue or to that ditch or to that whatever.
For those young pub builders back in the day, we used to actually like handwrite stuff.
Put a stamp on it.
Yeah, and then they called it the snail mail. Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
But if it's just maybe for the Gen Zers, it's like using Uber.
There you go. Yeah.
Right? How does Uber work? It knows the locations of both parties with GPS. They can find each other because they know there's a little dot on the map that connects, right? That's how I got home from a restaurant that doesn't in a country that speaks no English, yet I can see a dot, and the taxi driver can see my dot, and even though I don't speak Japanese, and you didn't speak much English, we made it.
Yeah,
it works, right? So how do we do it? We created a shared language,
shared understanding. Yeah.
So that shared language takes work. So you got to give things names. You got to use nomenclature, but the key point I want to make is the shared language can't just be the zones of the job site that's on the drawings, because that could be an architectural feature, or that could be the zone that is part of the schedule of DPR. This is area A, but area A for a plumber might not resonate because he doesn't see our schedule, but he knows this is a ditch between this grid line and this grid. It's okay, well, instead of us calling it that and them calling it that, why don't we just give it that pipe a number, and everybody uses the same number. Everybody.
Yeah, let's give them 2 blue dots.
Just the blue dot. So that's step 1. Is create a shared language.
Yeah.
And it's not easy. Creating a shared language is difficult.
Yeah.
Because of all the bias and all the things. So you have to design a system of teaching people a language. So like Duolingo.
Wakarimasen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you have to teach people a language. You have to do it. And then everybody has to use that language. The second we start deviating from that language, that we remove that language. So you have to be very, very disciplined in that location-based management system. Just type in LBMS in the IGLC website. There's probably 2,500 pages about it.
We're doing better.
How do I know how to use location-based management system? Ollie Sepinen wrote a book about it.
Yeah.
And then I read that book, and then I just tried stuff out, and eventually I figured out how to do it.
What a guy, too. He had a ton of patience with me on this IGLC. We went back and forth at least 10 times. So, Ollie, thank you so much.
I'm eternally grateful. So that's step 1.
Your contributions will forever be recognized.
Yeah, so 10 years ago, Ollie, Glenn Ballard, and Ralph Modred, who I know all 3 of them, they did an IGLC paper on IGLC 23, where they said location-based management system and last planner. Why don't we just kind of link them together and create that link? Be like, we can do a production system, and if we gave that production system very specific names, we can start to chart it out. So if you read the paper, the chart is the flow line, concept of flow line.
Yeah. Lines of balance.
Right. Line of balance system.
Flow line of balance. Yeah.
So there's a system of that. And so once you have your location-based system established and you start to design your production system, you can immediately start tracking production. It's like, why do we need these like super complicated production tracking methods? The line and balance, you could do it with pencil and paper.
Yeah.
If you knew all your locations and you knew time, and time is the x-axis and location is the y-axis, the pitch, right, between x and y, if the pitch is high, you're going fast. If the pitch is low, takes more time. Or if the pitch is cross,
you got problems.
Put a red circle around that puppy, because that's where your issue is.
Well, it's a great way to analyze your schedule too, right? Even if you're doing CPM, you can still create this location-based burn-down chart almost.
Burn down. So that's how you determine your tech. So it's like, how do I determine my tech time, Thomas? Location-based management system, last planning. If you understand how much time things will take, and you understand where those things happen, you understand the pitch. You now have, okay, well, I need to do this for this activity that's like this. I'll try to do it in the camera. And this activity following on needs to be at the same pitch.
Yeah.
Can't cross,
same speed, the same distance apart.
It's the same beat. The takt time, I can say this activity needs to take no longer than 2 days.
Yeah.
And then the follow-on activity, for it to go at the same rate, you just match the rate. So now I've determined takt. So just in step 1, I've designed my system, and it was not easy to do step 1. This is a huge project. Took us months, plural,
for one step,
for just step 1. But we've taught everybody a language. We say this is low voltage duct bank number 28. Whereas low voltage duct bank 28, there's only one on the whole job site. You don't need a map for it now. You might need a map to show where that one is, but I don't need a colored chart of zones to show me where I'm at. So if I looked at a chart that said low voltage duct bank number 28, I don't need to look at anything else. I know exactly where that thing is. So remember the concept of your visual planning being like in one look. I don't have to look for a legend or a color chart,
Yeah.
I just know exactly where that thing is. So then if I know exactly where that thing is, I can status it. Is this thing being worked on? Is it a problem or is it done?
I was just going to drop this. That's one of my learnings I'm taking from here. And you added to it yesterday. I'd love for you to do it again live on camera. But an effective visual management system must create shared understanding, or this common language, as you said. And it must provide a provocative response. And
Must.
And what was
Underline, double underline.
What was the
Must.
third thing you added to that?
One look.
One look.
What I mean by one look, it's a visual system, right? So the best visual systems, I think like a fighter pilot, they have the heads-up display.
Yep.
Because they're looking out their wind screen or whatever they call it, but they're also all of their systems, so their airspeed, their targeting systems, their navigation systems, right? It's all in that same field of view. Either they have some of them have a fancy helmet that has it, or the older way was to actually overlay it in front of your screen. But that's the concept of visual management, that your information in real time, remember, this is like their targeting system is moving around. Their airspeed is depending upon their actual airspeed. So the airspeed on the heads-up indicator will change as their rate of distance changes. So in one look, your visual system, you don't have to look anywhere else. So if I have to create a visual system where I have to look at a color chart to understand what that is, that might be something to work on. Or if I have to explain, I need a whole like legend over off to the side. I have to look over. I have to change my field of view from the information that I need to look at to a secondary set of information to understand that primary information.
You've lost it.
You might make a mistake. Remember the changing between imperial. That's where the mistake happened. Is there's some misunderstanding. So infographics.
I keep hearing about these steps. Take me through just high level step one.
So you design your system.
Yep.
You made the decision to consciously are going to design a production system. I'm going to incorporate all the parties that are involved. All the parties that are involved is all the parties that are in that process. If you have trade partners in that process, you have to incorporate them in the design.
In an effort to create.
Remember you said must?
Yeah.
You must do it.
Yeah.
If you don't do that step, you skip it, your system will have these flaws. Because you'll introduce bias. So you have to do it. So does that process take extra time? Spend some resources?
Yeah. Hell yeah.
100%. Well, but is it worth it? Absolutely. Also 100%. So you have to name all your locations, and then all your locations, you also have to understand your production rate. So once you understand if your y-axis is all your locations and your x-axis is time, your production rate is that flow line diagram.
Yep.
So if your flow lines, if I'm doing an activity and it's going from location 1 to location 2, and it takes time, my flow line will have a pitch to it.
Yeah.
And the follow-on trade also will have a pitch to their activity. And so the idea with location-based management system in a production system is that you want your pitches to be parallel.
Yeah.
The worst thing you can do is, it's like Ghostbusters. You don't cross the streams.
Who are you going to call?
Yeah. So once you do that, and if you're curious on how to set up a location-based management system, just go to IGLC.net and type in LBMS.
Yes.
The world's your oyster.
Yes.
I don't need to do much more explanation because all the explanation, the people that I learned from those same papers.
Yeah. Well,
There's no magic to it.
Take me into step 2.
Step 2.
Does it get more complicated?
Once this is the theory of constraints.
Mm.
But once you've designed your system, knowledge, you got to do it.
Oh.
So the concept in Lean, we call that standard work or standardized work. So standardized work meaning like, everyone's like, yeah, we do standard work. That means every part of that process, you do exactly the same way. So, and then everybody else working in that process also, it does it the same way. They don't have to do it like a mirror image of each other because we're all human beings, but we should be doing the same things in the same sequence. So if we have other processes that might compete for resources, we have to stop doing those. Stop doing those. Not like, oh, we can do both at the same time. Doing two things at once means they're both half done.
And moving slower, right?
Yeah.
That pitch line becomes very
So
flat.
respecting people and standardized work, it's like we're not robots. We're just taking a whole bunch of overburdened work that people are doing, organizing it in a way that's efficient, and then the inefficient work we just quit doing. We stop it.
That sounds so obvious.
So and the red flag in standardized work is like, oh, we're doing this twice, or we're double entering, or yeah, we have to do things. We have to do these crazy reports for like, that's non-standardized work. Like that's a red flag. So if you hear those phrases come up, like I'm doing double entry, stop right there and zoom in on that. Be like, what are we double entering? Because we need to choose which is the standard way to do it. And then whatever the standard ways of doing it, we're going to keep doing.
And we're all going to do it that way.
Whatever the non-standardized ways, we're not going to just do it for this one entity. We're going to teach that one entity to start on the standardized process. I work on this massive project. This is not a small project, and this is a Magnificent Seven client who is very exacting, and you have to manage them as well.
Yeah.
And so you have to get, not only do you have to get your stakeholders in which you have business agreements to do with, you have to get the Kleinfelders of the world, the third parties, and the owners who have no other than your business agreement with them. You have to influence them to get on this process. So that process is incredibly hard. So all of the lean processes, like the crucial conversations, the team healths, the onboarding, like all of those things that we talk about, the knowledge, you got to do it. So there's an onboarding process that you have to do, and you have to get an incredible weight. Dave Umstadt, it's awesome. But you know, like Dave this week,
that design thinking workshop was
he did the workshop.
mind. Yeah.
But I work with Dave in the real world on a real project, and it's the same behavior. You have to do those things. If you want to hire a lean consultant, that's what you get help for them to do. You get help for them to help facilitate the process of getting everybody into a standardized process. And when that lean facilitator like goes to their next project, if you revert back to your old ways, you should have never hired them.
It was a waste of money.
It was a waste of money.
You considered it bullshit.
Yes. So standardized work is once you make that decision to, we're consciously designing our production system. We've done all of this crazy location management system. We've incorporated a BIM model into our schedule. We're doing 4D. We got all kinds of crazy stuff. We're doing Takt, right? We've made that decision. Now we've implemented it. The standard work is like, we're going to take 7 hours and update CPM at the same time? No.
And you've talked the client into this.
Yes. So we take our production system, all of the effort in our production system, the output of that updates P6.
Beautiful.
So updating P6 takes very little time. The other thing is, why does it take very little time? Because our master schedule doesn't change often because of all of the collaborative planning we did to build the damn thing.
Because you know, and now you're doing.
Yes.
That,
so another red flag is like, hey, we got to do all this crazy changeover on a master schedule. And this is somehow taking all my resources away from this last planner effort. Stop doing that crazy changeover and double down on your last plan. That is a directive by me, Thomas.
Just tell him Thomas said so.
Yeah.
Well, take me through these next few steps here.
So the key here point is that your processes, whatever it is, safety, quality, scheduling, your morning meetings, they all have to support each other. What I mean by that is the output of one meeting or output of one process gives information. It should be an input into another process. So like I said, like our production system, our tech plan, like the tech management part, we update our master schedule with. Right? The master schedule therefore helps us align the next cycle of. So
the output of a tech plan is the input to the CPM schedule.
Yes, and then that output of that informs decisions for other processes like submittals and
insert systems thinking here.
Yes.
One big system of network commitment.
Yes. So not one process should govern any of the other processes. They should all support each other. Are there processes that set priority? Of Absolutely. You have to. We live in a real world, but in this concept of a production system, each one of those processes that they share information with each other, and if you remove one of those processes, like there will be problems because the information sharing stops. And the larger the project you get, and I'm on a larger than $1 billion project, you have to teach the people in these individual processes also how to do that. And that's not easy, but you have to do it. So that's the trades, that's the designers, that's us, that's the third party, that's the owners, that's everybody involved.
Every stakeholder.
AHJ, the county inspector, had a say in our system.
Anybody with a vested interest. Yeah.
Because you want to get something signed off with the county in Aiken,
you better
you
include
gotta
them.
get them, right?
Yeah. You gotta figure out those conditions of satisfaction.
100%. So if you're gonna get anything, you have to incorporate all those parties, and then you establish that work. So the easiest question to ask is, what is acceptable? And you go to each one of those parties, say, hey, in this situation, what's acceptable? And if there's a different answer between parties, then your work is not that. That's the litmus test for standardized work. Everybody should know exactly what standardized is. That's why it's like Toyota is awesome, because they have the Kanban system, and it's just like locked in. So they use, like, when they're assembling a car, they use like an inclined plane, and when you grab something off that inclined plane, the next one slides right in. Standard work. It's pull.
I love it.
But designing that pull system took all kinds of probably PhDs in mechanical.
Yeah, I just recently learned that could also be called a two-bend system. I learned that in a presentation. That's sweet.
Nice. So that's step 2.
Yep.
Step 3, you have existing processes. You link those processes to the new standard.
Okay.
What I mean by that is this is the third focusing step in theory of constraints.
Okay.
So if you have constraints, supply chain, we have a procurement system where we have to go get equipment, like large pieces of equipment, and start moving it towards us. These aren't entities that have a vested interest in our project. They're building chillers, right? Like Train.
They're just pumping chillers.
I call Train, I'm like, this is the most important project in the world to me. Train, they're huge.
Yeah.
They are much bigger than my one project.
They've got probably a couple thousand Thomas LaMay projects out there.
And we all think our project is the most important in the world, but they have other interests in play, right?
Of course. Yeah, that's a business.
So these are your outside processes where you procure things from places away from your job site. Like you might even have a corporate EH&S department that might need input on your safety plan. You better design that into the system. Hey, if I need to do a special critical pick with this crane,
and what would be acceptable to you?
And I have to get special permission by our safety department to do so, that I can't get it the night before to get the crane plan signed off. That crane plan might take 2 weeks to get it signed off and get it executed. And if there's a problem with that crane plan that needs some adjustment, I gotta account for that as well, right? So I have to subordinate my process to that process, not the other way around. And so what Toyota did was flipped it on its head. And what they do is they go to their suppliers, Bosch, Delco, like all of their outside suppliers, and they created a Kanban system with them. Amazon does this as well to a certain extent. So in lean thinking and lean framework, that you can't just stop in your ecosystem. If you only stop on your project and don't start reaching out to, let's say, your corporate processes for a purchasing, like to get a purchasing agreement signed off, or a insurance to go through a cycle of approval, like that takes time, right? And even at my company, we don't just do one project at a time, we do many. So we have to like coordinate those processes with each other. So we can't just stop with our one entity. We also have to think about supply chain. We have to think about laws. Like I was talking about the AHJ. So, but you also have to take in consideration, like the project I'm working on is huge. We have to incorporate the state of South Carolina and DHEC.
Yeah, and Department of Health and Environmental Control.
We're a huge job site. So I have to think about Yeah, like Department of Health, and then SCDOT roads, because we are working against their easement.
Yeah.
And then also, almost all of our projects have worked with utility companies, right? Like you got to hook up to the sewer, you got to hook up to the water, you got to hook, like, so a lot of times in our production systems, we just treat those entities as a problem.
Yeah.
Like, oh, Duke Energy.
Oh, they're gonna take forever. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
So,
But we don't operate without them. We have to consider the whole.
Unless you have a giant generator for the entirety of your project.
It's expensive.
Very expensive. So,
but I hear you talking about that
so
lean
you
principle.
have to subordinate your processes to theirs. And it's a different way of thinking.
Yeah, especially for our American brain. I think, again, and not to be offensive to America, but as I've been here in Japan, that's one thing that I've noticed. It's like they subordinate their own needs to the needs of others.
I saw yesterday the security guard.
Reminds me.
They were building a house. They had the screen wall was covered with wallpaper.
Grassy wallpaper.
Right next to this temple. I'll try to explain it. Maybe you took a picture of it.
I did.
But their construction fence, not only did they put a screen on it, it was a house. This isn't
a fence on a house, yeah.
This is a fence. They had a screen wall, and then they put on their screen wall green, like it matched the landscape around it. So that physical, actual construction product fades away out of the landscape.
Yeah. It's no longer the most important thing around. We've optimized it.
Doing vinyl hard barricades around your house. Yeah. Royally expensive.
Great point. These are not chain link fences, right? This is a scaffold system with hard planks all the way around that have some type of...
Who gets the value from a construction fence that looks like green space?
Who values that? Not the owner of the home.
No, the people that walk by.
Coming to the temple to pray.
So that's what I mean by subordinating. Yeah, like you have to stop thinking about the value to the project, and you have to think about the value to other entities involved.
That's community.
So it's a greater good. It's a greater good. And I've worked with Duke Energy before.
That's what
lean builders. If you treat those people with professional courtesy, and you call them up and you give them plenty of heads up and say, hey, we're making this adjustment to here.
They will perform like that. Yeah.
They're human beings on the other end of the line. They appreciate it.
And they're so not used to it.
Yeah, because their system, they also work with outside entities of their own.
Yeah. I'm going to be a little selfish and say, hey, they could subordinate their process just a little bit for us, but that's my own, I guess, ignorant thing.
But if we did that more, do you think they would more?
100%.
There you go.
Lead by example, right?
Yeah. So don't worry about make them do it first. Do the hard work yourself. Put your mask on yourself first.
Yeah. Thank you for that humbling reminder.
Yep.
Yes.
And then step 4, remember, once we have all of that entire process and what we really started to have the reinforcing effect is when we started to take this information, being like, this location system, we're going to communicate with the engineer, we're communicating with the trades. Once we have this language system in play, we start using it. It has a reinforcing effect. Mm-hmm. You have to take that in consideration. So one thing we do, we have to have a field communication plan. So the pictures that I showed in that presentation, we use signals. We use spray paint.
The orange spray paint.
We put ribbons.
Yeah. Why pink again?
I can't tell the difference between red and green, but the reason why we did pink was because we said, well, we started out with a green ribbon and a red ribbon. Green meant good and red meant rework. Like, why are we doing signals for rework? Why don't we just have one color for loop, like go? Good. This is approved. Yeah. So what is acceptable at Aiken? Painting. So if you saw pink and you were a follow-on trade in that process, you see the pink flag, you know you're good to go. You don't have to guess.
I just heard you tell me, hey, I was doing double the work, and I realized it, and
why do we need green flags? Why do we need red flags? I have to guess. Does red mean good? Does red and green mean good? I can't tell the difference. It looks tan to me. But I'm not in the process. But so we're like, if you don't see a pink flag, it's not good.
Yeah.
You don't even have to question it. But if you see the pink, go.
Yeah. And again, you're not like,
So that
improving the cycle time, right?
Yeah.
Now
So we went
here
from
to here.
a system that is on a screen, like it's on WhatsApp, but eventually when I walk away with my screen with me,
It's still there.
that the release of that thing needs to linger at the place. Remember I said give everything an address?
Yep.
So we put the flag on the place of work.
168-2.
Yeah. So everybody in that process, they don't have to guess. And we have a digital system where we record everything, and that's all fine and good. And we meet the needs of the project with that. But how do we meet the needs of the people doing the actual work? As pink flag, they don't have to guess. So we don't overburden them with a bunch of reporting. We just have to say, if you see pink, go. If you don't see pink, it's a no-go. And if you're assigned to do the work and you don't see pink, it's also a system that say, hey, there's a problem here.
Yeah. Oh, and on pull.
Yeah. So why do we use pink flags? Nobody wanted a different color, but also it stands out a lot.
Yeah.
But I will guarantee you, if you try to incorporate a signaling system without doing the prior steps before, people will clown on you and be like, oh, this is stupid. And they will deviate from that process. And that, again, the second you deviate from your signaling process and you go to a different process, you throw your signaling process away because they're not using it. So you have to double down. So what I mean by subordinating is everything else you do, you only do it with the pink flags. That's the only way to communicate. It took us a long time to get there and a lot of resistance. I will say that. Incorporating that system was not easy, but if you remember my presentation, we didn't stop.
Yeah.
Now it's on everything. We spray paint conduit. We'll do metal studs. And it's the reason why is because it has that reinforcing effect. I mean, like you do something once good, people like it, they want to do it again.
Yeah.
And then you have a different group come in and they see it. I was like, these guys are dialed in, they're communicating, they're having a good time.
I better be a part of that.
But that's like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, what's our signaling process? Well, I don't know. We'll get
Hold on, what
blue.
was step one again?
Yeah. So that's so important. And also being like to do the painted stud technique, that's a pretty common one to do to close up the wall. Try doing that all the time and only use that system. And then step 5, last step. Once you've established all of that.
Is this one easier?
This is probably easy, but it's the most often skipped. I even wrote that down.
Okay.
Most often skipped or starved for resources. And once you've established your signaling system, once you've established your flow line, once you've established the way you communicate, once you establish all of these things, you start to get feedback. Be like, this is kind of screwed up. If you don't take that feedback seriously and make an adjustment, your system will be flawed again, because we work in complex environment, highly complex, right? So when we started the design process, we didn't take into consideration all of these other factors. So once we start going, we need to be able to pivot. And the only way to be able to pivot is go seek the feedback from those who do the work. And then once they give you feedback, you take action on it. And that's always skipped. No, I shouldn't say always skipped, but it's often skipped. Because it'd be like, no, we're just doing this process now. You succumb to this process. Because remember, the step before that was subordinating it. So it's a different way of thinking about it. Because I went from a subordination step, a highly standardizing step. Now I'm like, I also want to incorporate feedback and then loop it back into my system.
But how do you do that? Because it sounds like an oxymoron, right?
Yeah.
If you're a subordinate to me, I don't want your feedback. You're doing what I say. But now all of a sudden the subordinate is providing feedback and I'm supposed to listen?
Yeah.
How?
It's like Daniel-san.
Hey.
If you watch The Karate Kid, he does the wax on, wax off.
Yeah.
He does the paint the fence.
Yeah. The discipline.
Then it was like, this is a bunch of, I'm like fixing this guy's house up. This is bullcrap because he's subordinating all these activities.
Yeah.
Mr. Miyagi, was subordinating those activities, but what he was doing is he's teaching them how to do the movements,
Standard word.
do the standard movements in, what was it, Bushido, like karate? It was karate.
Yeah.
But once he learned those movements, only then could he actually start training. But when you first learn, you have to become the student.
Yeah.
And so there's a subordination step where you learn, and once you've learned, then you can go take action. And then from there,
once you know, now you can go do it.
if you don't like Mr. Miyagi, a lot of people like Jocko.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Discipline equals freedom.
Yep.
Same
Dichotomy
concept.
of leadership. Yes.
And then, so Jocko has that whole concept of discipline. It's the same thing. It's like you get up every morning at 4 a.m. and you do burpees. Why do you do it? Just get after it.
I love following his Instagram. You're seeing the aftermath. Oh,
yeah.
So inspiring.
But he does, if you look on his, it's every single day.
3:30 flew by, yeah.
And that's standard work.
Yeah.
But no matter if he's traveling, no matter what, I know you learn that all the way back. And those concepts are universal. So, so you can either listen to Mr. Miyagi, you can listen to an ex-Navy SEAL. It's the same concept that whatever you do every single day is more important than what you do great one time. Way more important. It's like stacking bricks.
Yeah.
How do you build a crazy masonry wall?
One brick
One
at
brick
a
at a
time.
time.
Yeah.
So you stack those bricks up. I love that concept. But so you have to take the feedback from the people you just subordinated a bunch of work to, and now the student becomes the teacher. This is a very Eastern concept. That's why I love doing it in Japan.
Yeah. This is about
Grasshopper, you have learned much.
Yes.
But the feedback loop, how do you do it? Plus delta.
Yeah.
Retrospectives, you do the
Nice.
phase-in retrospectives.
Yeah.
If you have a whiteboard, the fishbone diagrams.
Yeah.
How do you do it? You just do it.
Like running that marathon, right?
Yeah, and you do it all the time. So when you do a phase-end retrospective, the end of the phase. Like, when do we do the retrospective, Thomas?
Yeah. After action review, when is that again?
It's after the action.
Oh, genius.
Standard work. And so along the way, you'll face resistance on every step.
Yeah.
And you can't give up.
Yeah. I think one thing I'm taking
That's
though
a piece of advice.
you can't start at 3. You can't start at 5. You have to start with developing that common shared language.
That's where you start. Because only then does everybody know exactly what you're talking.
Yeah, only then are you making those standard movements in the correct fashion.
And everybody knows exactly what low voltage duct bank 28 is. Without looking at a map, without looking at anything, now I know exactly where it is just by looking at a code. And eventually it becomes a shared language, and that's how you do it. So along the way, you'll face all kinds of crazy resistance. Don't give up. There's all kinds of problem-solving mechanisms to overcome resistance and change. That's why I love lean.
Yeah, that's what lean builders do, man. So if you could just high level wrap that, because I love it. It's a system, right? You develop a production system to empower the workers with feed forward and concurrent controls where they can actually do something about
take
their
action
history.
with it.
So,
and the best part is once they take action, their work, like their production, that whatever they complete, it loops that information. Hey, this section of duct bank is complete. They don't have to say anything. We fly a drone over them and take sensors and take readings. So we don't even burden them with the reporting. Because remember, I know exactly where that duct bank is. I know where it goes. I have a BIM model that shows it. And all I need is a picture with a sensor on it that says, hey, look for a pipe that's in this spot. And if that pipe is there in that spot, I have a system that says this is done, and it'll change an indicator on our production system, and it loops back forward. And so Toyota calls that judoka.
yeah.
That's smart
Mistake.
automation or autonomation. It's a very Taichi Ono phrase, judoka, but that's what it is. It's like, what is judoka in construction? It's not burdening drywall foreman to fill out their weekly work plan when I can walk in with a 360-degree camera and do the report for him with a automated piece of equipment. Because the value is not the foreman doing the reporting. The value is getting the information. So if what's most important is the information of status,
why are we making it so hard?
automate that and allow that person who needs to use their brain, let them use their brain to feed the system forward.
Yeah.
And I'll just have a robot go take the measurements. So that's why I love AI now, because I can give them the demeaning work, because the robot doesn't care. Until they become sentient, I guess.
Well, robots were made for dirty, dangerous, and dull tasks.
Yes.
Things humans should not be doing in the first
But
place.
I can go measure, and we're doing it right now, the inside of a storm drain down underground. I don't have to send a human being down there. I'll send a rover with a camera, and it takes the measurement for it. And no humans are harmed in that effort. And we get the information.
I want you to pull the system loop through this whole conversation for me. We started off talking about mental health and suicide, and then we slowly turned into systems thinking into. We talked a little bit about Takt and the no and doing gap, and now we've had the fortune to understand the system that you've actually set up on your project. Can you draw a parallel or link through this whole conversation for us?
It's actually care for human beings. The whole reason we do it, all of the effort from Iris Tomlin teaching me how to do work density planning 10 years ago. The reason why Iris taught me that is not for me to do it. It's for me to teach a group of individuals doing the work, hey, this work is dense, so you give yourself more time because it's more difficult in this space.
Maybe a buffer or two.
Add a buffer in this section, but then in this area where it's wide open and easy to do, you don't need the buffer. So the work in those two areas takes the exact same time now, so the work can flow. So I don't burden the workers when the areas that's difficult. Let them take extra time in the difficult area, and then in the easy area, I give them the exact same amount of time because I want flow. Because flow is more important than speed.
Yeah.
You don't believe me? Ask a Marine.
Yeah.
Accuracy kills.
So I want you to take this thing out. I'm going to actually get off the camera and let you just run this thing out as long as anywhere as you want to go. Well, first, I got to say the hat. I love the hat, man. No bullshit.
No bull.
Yeah, don't give that to me.
What is bull? It's fake flow.
Thank you for your time. I want you to take it out, and I want you to just give the Lean Builder Nation whatever message Thomas LaMay has for the Lean Builder Nation. Change us.
The best thing about being a lean builder, it will take you to great places. Like, we're sitting on a beautiful day in Kyoto, Japan. I'm getting paid to do this, by the way.
It's amazing. That's amazing.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah.
What I mean by that, I can submit my timesheet today and not have it being paid time off. So, like, I work for an organization that values this kind of thinking.
Yeah.
So what I mean by that is that just reinforces, not only for me, but since I'm now an influential leader in my organization, everyone around me is now also influenced by that. So I want to tell anybody and I said, like, in the beginning, I said, like, how do you run a marathon and you practice for it? You get up, you put your shoes on, and you go for a run. And then the next day when you wake up and you're sore, you don't want to do it, and it may be raining out there, you do it anyways. And then the next day you do it again. If you truly are passionate about something, you will find a way. And once you find the way, you will start aligning yourself with other amazing people. And now I know PhDs, I know industry titans, I know CEOs of our competition, like Keon, who are, like, I consider friends. And so, like, what that does is it actually creates community. And we started by talking about mental wellness and mental health and taking care of that. And as men, once you've taken care of yourself, and it's been studied that one way to overcome depression and all the symptomatic things that go along with mental illness is actually having a community. It's been studied, and you can find so many communities. There's religious ones. There's the run clubs, the old dog crew,
the international group, the wave. I mean, you name a community.
But you have to find your people. You got to have a crew. Once you have a squad, and it has to be, I would say this, once you find your people, you take the test and like, is what we're doing actually adding value? And how do you know you're adding value? Because the people around you are actually also being like affected by it in a positive way, like they're changing their behavior, or we're like being more productive. Are we being more profitable? Yes, that's another output. And by being profitable allows my company to send me to Japan and be like, yeah, go spend money.
Yeah,
go spread the love. So being profitable is not bad because it allows us to stretch our boundaries. Like Takanada having a research and development whole wing, that whole wing is there to make the work design better. And so once you surround yourself by your people, by your crew, you've now created a community. And that community, the best part is just growth. And you allow people in. And that's the one thing about being a lean builder. As a lean builder builds not just themselves. They don't just build the project. They're not just in it to make money. They're building a community. That's what I want to say. That's why I'm so drawn into this community, is that. And now I'm in a place now where it's like, why am I presenting at IGLC? Because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. Like Glenn Ballard's about to retire. And if
we celebrated his birthday.
If no one picks up the torch with Last Planner and writes, hey, what's the 2036 retrospective of Last Planner? If nobody writes that paper, we won't progress as a community. So guess who's going to do it? And I'm not alone. Yeah, so I want to say this, like be a part of this community. It'll only feel awkward for about 5 minutes. And once you're dialed in, you'll be much better for it, and you'll be more productive. And when you're more productive, you look better. You will pass selection for manager positions so much faster. Your earnings will skyrocket if you actually do those processes and do work in positive ways. Doors will open. Like, I've been all around the world many times now on this lean journey, just talking about these simple concepts. And I'm not the only one. If I can do it, anyone can, trust me. And that's what I want to leave it on, is that just take care of yourself, take care of others, take action, and do it. That's all I got.
Because that's what lean builders do, baby. Thomas-san, thank you so much. I value your thoughts, your opinions, and you as a human. I'm grateful to know you and learn with you. Every time I talk to you is just a whole level up of education for me, and I am so grateful for you. Thank you, Thomas-san.
Arigato.
Arigatou gozaimasu.